Girlfriends of a Certain Age coming to you live again on Substack. We love this. We love this way of chatting with you all.
It is
So
so fun.
right, we want you to join in and join in the conversation. And this one is a hot one, girl. We're talking about the motherhood penalty.
Yeah, it's real. It's real. So it's going to be really fun to tuck into it. If you haven't met us before, I'm Flesché,
I'm Jessica.
and we are Girlfriends of a Certain Age. We are here live every Tuesday at this time. So, girlfriends, come and join us, participate, join in the chat. We are here. We're going to read your messages. We want to hear from you.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. It's all about community, and we think Substack is a really fun forum to do that. So if you're also listening to the podcast or watching us on YouTube, come on over to our Substack, girlfriends, and join in the fun there. It's a fun place to write your opinions. We love them. We read all of them. So, girl, this opinion article came out in the New York Times, and I was red hot to share it with you. And you were like, a hell yes. And the actual title of the article, because I want to give credit where credit is due, is called Motherhood Should Come with a Warning Label. Mm. And it's really beautiful. It's both a video and a text article. So the text is written by Jessica Gross. The video, which is like break your heart open, where they're interviewing all of these women, these mothers, is created by Emily Holzneck. I hope I got your name correct. And Adam Westbrook. So just wanted to give a shout out to the authors because Flesché, what they did was they interviewed over 2,000 women to see what their experience is like in becoming mothers. But the interesting thing was most of them wanted to talk more about what it's like to be a mother, and the repercussions that they're feeling. So just a few sobering stats, because I'm a stat girl. Flesché is our feeler. And I was just joking with her that that's what makes us the Wonder Twins. A few of the stats. We know that when it comes to work, women who become mothers, earn less, and with every child you have, your earning power goes down. This is just kind of across the board. So everyone has their individual experiences, but that's across the board. We know that childcare is overwhelmingly expensive. That was one of the biggest issues that all the women brought up. In a lot of instances, childcare is more than your mortgage. So the choices you have to make around your career and your family are huge. And you just don't see men having to deal with that as much. Family leave is another big issue. Taking our labor for granted and considering it, quote, free labor, except when you need to hire someone else to do it, because then, damn, it's a hot penny. And finally, for girlfriends of a certain age, this is significant, less money in our personal retirement account.
Yeah,
Right?
that one, that one, to hear them talk about it really had me like, ooh, right.
Yeah. Right. So, like, what it means if we earn and then take breaks, what that does to our Social Security. Do we have as much of a consistent income to put into, say, a 401k? And if we are single or if we are divorced, there were women interviewed in this series that talked about how they're now alone and they are screwed because they devoted 20 years to their family, which is amazing. And yet, what do they have to show for it? Which is, we know all the inherent beautiful things, but if we're talking about numbers and we're talking about retirement security, girl. Okay, so I just laid a whole lot of stats on you. Oh, and the last stat that kind of makes me I find this so fascinating in our culture is even though there's a motherhood penalty, girl, there's a quote, father premium. Because the opposite is true for fathers. When men become fathers, their income generally goes up, and especially with the highest earning men, their income goes through the roof. So we are basically helping the wealthiest men in our country earn more with our free labor. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll step down from the soap dish. Just wanted to paint the picture for us all.
Yeah. Well, thank you, because you are our stats woman. You always do the research. You always come so prepared. And I just come to like, let's just feel our way through it. And I love what you said earlier. That's why we're like chocolate and peanut butter, because we go together, and you need the whole thing, right? To get a good bite of something. So how I felt when I heard it. So, just full disclosure, I don't have access to the New York Times.
Okay.
So that was paywalled for me. So I just watched the video. And so I didn't realize that there were 2 different I thought the video was like
The video is a
the
huge part of it, so that's a
yeah,
beautiful thing to get a sense of it. Yeah.
yeah. Um, but the way I felt was so heartbroken. And I could see that most of these women had not thought about it very much until asked. And then when asked, realized it was a gut punch.
Mhm.
And that's how I felt, like, and, like, the tears, the breaking of their voices, I could feel like, "Oh, shit." Like, the questions at this stage of life, "Who am I? What am I? What am I worth? What can I do? What am I left with? Can I retire? Can I be happy? Was it worth it?" Right? At this stage of life, we're able to start slowly looking in the rearview mirror and looking at the choices that we made and the people that we made those choices with. And we know this is the time where we're starting to shake things up. And so to see the cost, the actual cost of motherhood, we already knew about the emotional tolls. We already knew about how heart wrenching it is, how every stage, no matter how old your kids could be 40, and you're still, your heart is still going to be feeling it. But to see them questioning their careers, their career choices, their spouse, what they gave their spouse, what they ended up with, I was like, "Oh, hell no." This felt so shitty, and I'm talking carefully because 'cause I've got a kid home because it's summer, um, and I think this is where this part goes. It made me feel strong in the choices that I made as to be an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And that so that like my income has definitely gone up and down and down, down,
Mhm.
down, 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 down. And having that second kid definitely impacted my income. And I was making different choices. And now, interestingly enough, now that they're getting older, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I have all this energy and time. I'm going
Yeah.
to start building again. So I'm in a
Yeah.
really big building phase in my career again. So it brought up a lot of feelings. And so I would love to know what was your first thought, like beside the stats, like the heart part?
Definitely. I mean, I think to talk about what you're talking about as far as retirement, you and I have had very candid discussions about, wow, what do we do now that our kids are kind of growing up and getting launched? And I, like you, have been a solopreneur and have worked part time and, kind of built my work schedule around my kids' school calendar, which is beautiful and incredible. It also means for many years I was, camp mom and I was doing the patchwork quilt of childcare. And I feel like I was really fortunate because we had parents and grandparents around us. But I the the fact that when you just look at the numbers of the earning and of what I've put into my retirement versus what my husband, who has been steady Eddie, is, it's laughable, the difference, and I'm like, what happened here?" But it's like, "Oh, yeah, 2 children happened," you know? And this sort of funky feeling that there's somehow I'm devalued, like, should I have done more? Should I have done something different? Because also now we're coming into college age, which is, girl, a whole other discussion around how you launch your kids with, public universities in California are about 50 grand a year. Privates are almost 100 grand a year. There's incredible community college options, which is fabulous. But if you want to give them that like 4-year college experience, girl, it's just more of the same.
Yeah.
And what drives me bonkers about it all is it does not have to be this way. And I think we do know that like there are countries, there are places that have parent leave, that have free early childcare, that have free universities. And do you know how many people I know where their kids are like dual citizenship? One in Norway, one in Italy. Oh, wait, and one in Canada. Those kids all went to those other countries for college. Why wouldn't they? So
Smart.
it absolutely feels like I know what I did by raising human beings is priceless. And yet there is just something rough because we still got to pay the bills. We still got to pay the mortgage. We still need to afford retirement. That's realness. So that's all very frustrating, I think is the first word that comes up for me. It feels so frustrating because I also feel like there's a way, there's not a will. That's what really bothers me, you know? And I know that there is a will for some folks, which I'm excited about, but it overwhelmingly there isn't. There's a lot of that kind of like rhetoric of like, well, you had these kids, that's your issue. It's like these kids are human beings. The article pointed out, it's like they're not luxury goods. They're human beings.
Future voters and citizens and the people who'll be making leadership decisions about what's going to happen in our golden years. Absolutely.
The other thing, girl, that it brought back for me was I was just trying to harken back, oh, so many years ago, because my kids are now 15 and 17, to what it felt like when they were little. I remember being so sad when my husband went back to work, and he only took off 2 weeks. Again, I had support around me, thank goodness. Girl, I was, like, weeping when he left. That dual parent hands-on thing at the beginning was, incredible. I mean, it was confusing too. Neither of us knew what the F we were doing. So, there was some of that too, but just to think of, other countries where there's, like, 1 year parental leave that the mother and father can share, that mothers are truly valued and given support, that there's these, like, centers where you can go and get advice, for free, like, these exist, and we are the wealthiest country in the world, and we basically say, "Young moms, you're on your own. Figure it out."
Yeah,
And we felt in
absolutely.
the pandemic just how hardcore that was, right?
Yeah, and when I think about how when I hear you talk about having family support, which I've never had consistent support from family. And in the early years of even starting my business, when my first was just a baby, I did all of it. I couldn't even afford a nanny or a babysitter. Like I was doing all of it when he was napping. And so it takes so much out of us, right? We're in such a broken system. We are so isolated. We are so spun off. And some of it we choose, right? Like I don't choose to live in a multi-generational home. I guess I could have chosen to scoop everybody up and put us under one roof, but that isn't the choice I made. Um, and that we do figure it out. And you're right. It doesn't have to be like this. I think this is part of the revolution that we are starting to see. The fact that we're even talking about it, just like women in our generation we can't stop talking about perimenopause and menopause and all the things, right? And
Mhm.
our mom's generation didn't have that. So I think we are teeing up, and you and I don't have daughters, of course, but we are teeing up the next generation to
Yeah.
be able to have these conversations, to that we are going to society is going to shift and change. I think we're already starting to see it. And
A-
we, as the front runners and as the elder women now, right, like seeing like the cost of it, like, hey, wait a minute. Maybe we didn't have it, but we can help set it up for the next generation.
And there's real consequences if we don't. There is a declining birth rate going on. I I'm around young people a lot. A lot of them are questioning having a child. And it's not that they don't necessarily want to be a parent, which also is totally a choice. It's more, can I afford this? Can I afford this? Can I can I go to college, come out with debt, and then raise a kid and have no safety net? It's a huge question, and lots of more younger people are opting out
With good reason.
with
With
really
good
good
reason.
reason.
I don't blame them at all, because it is a very scary, troubling situation to get oneself into. Um, I don't know about you, but like I identify very much as being like an older mom. I
Mhm.
didn't even want to have children until I could really afford them and really be able to make some choices. I feel like my parents had me way too young and they didn't
Mm.
have money. They didn't have resources. They didn't have time. They didn't,
Right,
you
right,
know,
right.
and so there was like all these costs to that. And so I think I was really responding on, oh, I'm not going to make that choice. I'm going to make sure I'm old enough. I know myself. I really like solid in my life and can actually afford these humans. And so then I put that off for a long time. I didn't have my first kid till I was 38.
Mm.
right? So there are, I think also there's that reality too. Like now I'm in my early 50s and I still have, I still have a kid in elementary school.
Right, right. Yeah, that's wild. I think that's happening more and more with tons of women. Yeah,
Yeah,
that they're
absolutely.
delaying. Right, and then I think there can be a point where you delay it long enough, and then you kinda go, "Well, my life's pretty good," you know? "I've got this spending cash, and I've got a career, and I can travel," and I think there's you look at the reality, and one thing that was so beautiful in the video and the article that we're referring to is that when they asked almost every mother who had been crying about this struggle and that struggle if it was worth it, they all hands down said yes.
Yeah.
And we know that this sort of incredible bond and love is it's incredible. And I personally think that it enriches our lives. It's just an incredible experience, but it's quite sad that so many young people are looking at the reality and going, I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
want
think
to give a few,
oh, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, no, you go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to give us a few hopeful things because this is an intense talk. And I think that it's important to bring up also, especially right now, because there are literally cuts going on right now to some of these programs that serve mothers, especially like mothers who are single. The SNAP program is under threat. Medicare is under threat. I mean, we're seeing this, right? But it can swing the other way. There is a new mayoral candidate in New York City who ran, let's see, his name is Mondani, and he ran on the idea of free early childcare. And he is talking to people about how this is possible if we want it to be that way. Or to your point, that maybe we create a life for ourselves where we are living in intergenerational houses and things like that. So there's policy and there's lifestyle choices that perhaps could help this. Another great reminder is that, when we were in the pandemic, we saw with those pandemic support bills that helped for food and for childcare credit or for child credit, that cut poverty in half,
Mm,
right? So again, if there's a will, and I know it's expensive, but everything's expensive, so it comes down to priorities, we could see things happen. I know I'm a little bit of an optimist idealist, so there might be a lot of you women listening being like, yeah, honey, that day never coming. And that's okay. But I guess I'm just saying that in our individual choices and in our policies, like Flesché bringing up, the more we talk about it, maybe we can make this better for our daughters, our daughter-in-laws, our sons, our whoever our kids identify as. So if they do want to experience having kids, they feel like they are supported.
yeah. Yeah, and then I see this movement of, it's called the trad wife, stayed home barefoot, pregnant, just keep pumping out the kids. And I think there's that even that's having a backlash too of it's like, oh, well, we just won't even get into that rat race. We won't engage in any of that. But we see these women hitting midlife, getting the boot for younger women, getting left behind, being neglected, abused, having no credit, no access to anything, being completely cut out. And so I think that's a troubling trend too, because I know that some women think, oh, I'll just go a more traditional route. I don't think that has worked out very well for women in general,
No,
especially as we age, get more opinionated, the estrogen goes down, we start expressing ourselves more. Um, so I think there needs, and that's where that balance comes in, where
yeah,
we need to hold ourselves as equal and demand that and
yeah,
make sure that we're taking good care of ourselves. Um, I know several, women who, as they aged, their relationships changed. They started looking at their social security, their retirement. And I don't know the ins and outs of it. So if someone watching knows and you could leave us a comment, I would love to know what that is. Where if they had been married for a certain amount of time, they basically were able to claim their ex-spouse's
hmm
income for their social security.
hmm
And so I know that's, something that people can look at. Also, there's a guest that who is Yeah, threatening to come on with us and to talk with us about this new idea of retirement, not necessarily meaning just feet up, but like finding ways to keep earning throughout one's life. That it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be all or nothing. This traditional idea that you're going to get your gold watch and you're going to sit on the couch and watch the, God willing, watch the grandbabies grow and do all the things, but that we don't stop earning, that we do find ways to keep monetizing throughout our lives so that we don't have all that pressure on us. I'm really hoping that we can get that guest on because I would love to learn more about that and how can women at this stage of life, how can we dust ourselves off and build something new and not have it be so taxing and be all or nothing, but
Yeah.
we could enjoy ourselves and keep earning. I love that concept.
I love that concept. I mean, I think you and I are both, trying to do that. I think we're in this reinvention stage where we're, kind of looking at in the middle going, oh, well, I've got quite a few more years of work ahead. What do I want to do with it? And then to your point, if we find something really interesting that we're passionate about, you might never stop doing it. It might always be something that you're doing and earning some money from. So, yes, the whole kind of old traditional way that you retire at this age and then you stop earning it all, you could absolutely create all kinds of revenue streams for yourself that could last your entire lifetime. How great is that? I love that idea, Flesché.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty intrigued by it, so I'll keep uh, working my magic to make that happen, um, because
Also,
I
I wanted
don't
to.
oh,
Oh,
good.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no, you
Oh no, no, you weren't finished your thought. No, no, go for it.
well, girl, now I had a midlife moment. I totally forgot what I was gonna
Oh my
say.
God. Well, I interrupted. So sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's
I
okay.
was I was going to just say that about the trad wife movement, which is very interesting. And there's also like a very big political birther movement that you can check out, which is equally very
Troubling.
wonky, troubling. There's a wonderful author, Tia Levings. Do you know about her?
Mm-mm, no.
Oh my gosh, she it kind of escaped from trad wife lifestyle and from fundamental Christianity.
Oh, okay, I do know who that is, yeah.
And what she shares so openly about is that it becomes a trap and you are oftentimes very controlled, right? So we know that like women who are in more traditional settings, right? There can be a lot of control that comes into that. So we are starting to see a lot of these women, and that's not always the case, but in general. So you are seeing a lot of women like Tia Levings who really honestly escape, like they literally escape in the middle of the night and then they share their stories and it's pretty wild. So all the more reason to make sure and feel like you have some autonomy, uh,
Yes.
so that you do have options for yourself and your children. um, you know, it's very troubling. So, yeah, I mean, my partner, has had the same job for a long time. So I looked at my social security and it was like, "Rah, rah." But because we're a married couple, I am entitled to his. So it's interesting. I was actually surprised. I went on the Social Security website and it was much more straightforward than I thought it was. Also, good old AI, you can ask them retirement questions now. And, they're definitely not a financial advisor or an expert, but if you're just wanting to know some basic questions, because I know a lot of us are like, retirement, terrifying to look at. That's a really interesting thing to look at. But that's all like do it yourself stuff. I'm so excited for this expert to come on and really like pick her brain and ask her questions. So I think too, girlfriends, if you're listening to this, please send us on our Substack, girlfriends, your questions about retirement, your questions about putting, money away and should you do a 401k? Should you just rely on Social Security? All of these questions that I'm sure so many of us have. Let's get a really good talk going so we can get all of this wonderful expert advice from her.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, I'm always saying this to my kids. Every problem can be solved in some kind of way, some kind of option. It may not be the thing that's quite ideal or something you don't even understand how to do yet. But I think the more we talk about it, the more we can release the shame around whatever it is. the tax on motherhood, the attack on us as mothers, like
Yeah.
all the different things, or our financial situation, our retirement savings or lack thereof, just letting that shame go because the shame itself keeps us locked. And it
Mm,
keeps us from thinking creatively about solutions, opportunities, asking for help, listening to help, actually taking action on what we're learning. And I think the more we can do that in community, the more we can do that holding our head high, no matter what the choices were that we made or how we feel about it. I think that's the answer to so much for us, and that what locks us down and has us feel so tight and incapable of change at this stage of life.
yeah. And I have to give a quick shout out to my mom because I think on a hike I was, kind of telling her about, again, me and my stats, some of the financial stuff that I'm facing. And I just remember her looking at me and saying, Jessica, you worked part-time in order to provide this incredible childhood for your kids. Look at how much they're thriving. That is worth so much. And, my husband says it to me, and I think it's important for us to hear that back from people in our lives. So finding those people that really let you know that the sacrifice you made is so worth it, and to really feel deeply into that. So yes, letting go of the shame and really, really trying to give yourself an immense amount of love for what you're doing. It is so freaking hard. It is so fascinating. It is endlessly a wild journey, and you never know what's around the next corner with kids, right?
No, you
Every
don't.
stage is fascinating. But really, really deeply feeling that and honoring that in ourselves, I also think is a beautiful reclamation of the power that we don't always feel, in the way our society treats mothers. It's a very mixed bag, right? It's like, here's a bouquet of flowers. Now go do it all yourself. It's like
Yeah.
very so
And make it look easy and pretty and yeah. And only post about when the kids are wearing matching clothes and all looking at the camera, even if you have to Photoshop them, and make us think that it's all great and easy and you got this.
right. It's ridiculous. And why do we have it all? Why are we carrying all of the, childcare labor, emotional labor, you name it, the labor? So there is a growing conversation. I'm really excited by what I'm hearing actually with the younger generations around this. Because I think they're looking at even us, Gen X, and going, I'm not doing that. Right. Like I was laughing about that. I was like, oh, I'm becoming my mother's generation, right? Which was like the 1950s cookie cutter, leave it to beaver mom. And I was like, I'll never be that mom. And I'm like, oh my God, does that mean the younger people are looking at us now and thinking that? That was a weird thought I had.
I'm sure they are.
Ah!
I mean, we just look around at what we know, right? And we know how we feel about it. And then there tends to be like well, I'm not gonna, they tend to distance themselves. So I think that is just a natural part of it. Um, and I think for the most part, you and I look back on what we've done and don't have a lot of regrets,
Yep.
honestly. I mean, I think that there are things that we would like to see be different, but you and I we're still in the game. We're still engaged. We're still earning. We're still growing. We're still learning. I really see you coming into your own and with all your whole new pivot. And so there's something very exciting and juicy about this stage of life too, that our
Mhm.
chapter is not complete. It's not done.
And also shout out to Substack because you and I have both created Substacks, and that's a beautiful place if you're wondering what to do to start using your voice and building a community, and then you can even pivot from there. I know women that have a few Substacks, right? So how to explore what it is you're calling in, that could be a really fun place to start. You recommended it to me, and I'm so grateful you did that.
It's been a lot of fun, and I think we both have grown quite a bit. We're learning so much. Obviously, now
Yeah.
we have our podcast here.
Yeah.
So I think I think that chapter is just getting started. I think that's just heating up.
Yeah.
And so it's beautiful. A rising tide lifts all boats. And
Mhm.
the more Substack grows, the more you and I are growing, and the more all the other women are growing, and all the other humans who are trying to grow on Substack. I love that.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Well, we can't wait to hear what you think about it. Please leave a comment, share this with a friend, and let us know what you're feeling about. Have you experienced a motherhood penalty? Are you someone who's considering becoming a parent and you're ambivalent about it? Are you someone like us, a girlfriend of a certain age who's looking at retirement or looking back and thinking about what we could do to pay it forward for our future generations? We'd love to know. So, this was a great discussion. Thanks for listening to all my stats. I'm the stat girl.
Always. I love it. I love that you do that because it brings so much richness and it grounds conversations. It's very grounding, right? So I know my conversations can bring us up here or too much into here, but you help to give it legs and give it reason and give it purpose. And I love how you always find the hope in the stats too. That's something that's one of your personal gifts, Jessica. So thank you for that.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. We have to find some hope in the stats. Yeah. And we'll link the article and video in our Substack girlfriends so that you can check that out, at least just the video. And we'll look forward to hearing from you all, girlfriends.
Sounds awesome. Till next time, girlfriends. Bye.
Bye.